there, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Jessica, and today is Thanksgiving. Today is going to be a kind of a chill, relaxed video. I am expecting my son's grandmother to call me back, so if the video suddenly gets interrupted, that's why. Also, it is Thanksgiving, so if I get notifications coming through on my phone, unfortunately, I've learned that those get recorded in the video, so apologies in advance for that. But I figured we would just do a relaxed type of vlog-like video. We are going over to our parents' house for Thanksgiving, and we are cooking collard greens, and because we are gluten-free, we are making some gluten-free biscuits. I've got the greens soaking in some salt water. When I washed the leaves, they didn't feel very grimy, so they shouldn't have to soak too long. I know the stems aren't fully in the water, but we don't use the stems anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I'm just going to let those soak for probably like half an hour, and while those are soaking, I am going to make the biscuits. Okay, so I've got the oven preheating, and this is the biscuit mix that I am using. This is my go-to biscuit mix. It's so good. Obviously not sponsored, but I just they always turn out really good when I use these. I checked the ingredients, and I needed half a cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. I don't have that. I have Colby Jack, and luckily I did have half a cup of that. So we're going to be using the Colby Jack cheese, and hopefully they'll turn out. I'm probably going to be the only one eating them anyway, so it's fine. I need to go find some scissors. All right, we've got that open, and if I start like glistening, just ignore that. The medications I take make me overheat really easily, and working in the kitchen is definitely something that gets me overheated, especially with the oven on. I do have the fan going, but I'm probably going to end up sweating, so just pretend that's not happening. All right, so I'm emptying the mix into my mixing bowl. And I am not going to make the mistake of throwing away the box. I'm going to set that aside. And then my half a cup of cheese. Can you not? Thank you. Salem, of course, likes to help me in the kitchen, so if you hear if you hear me getting after him, then that's why. All right, so the recipe also calls for a cup of cold water. Okay. I'm just gonna mix that. So I know it's been a while since we've filmed. It's been a rough month. We've been really busy at trying to get the therapy and psychiatry set for our son, and we finally got a psychiatrist for him, and he has officially been diagnosed with ADHD, so he's on medication for that now. Our therapist was supposed to be this week, but I guess there was a complication with the scheduling because she was actually on vacation this week, so we will be seeing her next week instead. And that is in person, which it has been such a struggle trying to find an in-person child therapist. Like, they just don't exist, and so I'm like really lucky to have found this person. Other things that have been going on is we were on antibiotics for about a week, and it shut system communication like completely down. Shell was mostly stuck front. I think we had like 4 switches over the span of 2 weeks, and Shell couldn't communicate with the system at all. So it was really rough. And we seem to be doing better now that we've been off the antibiotics for a little bit. And then the other thing that's been happening is that we got laid off from our job. So we've been dealing with the stress of that. We're not panicking because we are getting a severance, thankfully. And we put in a lot of years with the company, so our severance is a pretty good severance. I'm gonna add a little bit more water to this. But it is still stressful and not something that we thought we were going to have to deal with. Because even though we knew that our department was downsizing and our department wasn't going to be around for very long, that we've been moved so much when they need like the department we were in before, that work was slowing down there, and then the department I got moved to needed some extra hands, so they moved me to that department. So I was fully expecting that they were going to move me. I was not expecting to get laid off. And so I am technically still on the payroll, but because of the type of business I'm in, I'm basically like in a non-working role until my pay period ends, because they don't want us like taking trade secrets or anything like that. So it's been interesting because we, work, even though it was exhausting, it gave us a schedule. And so we've been without any kind of like structure for the past couple of weeks, and combined with the poor system communication and Shell being stuck in front, Shell is just like, she's done pretty good the past couple of days, but like depression was really starting to get a hold on us. And Shell's been doing really well in trying to like not stay stagnant and to get up and like stay busy and do housework and take our son to appointments so that the depression doesn't kick in so much. But she still is struggling, and for some reason our anxiety has been really bad lately. I think it might have to do with Thanksgiving and just, even though we always go to our family's house for Thanksgiving, you never know like how personalities are going to play out. And plus just making sure that like we got the cooking done that we said we were going to do, because it's been really hard. Our energy's been really low. And so we just wanted to make sure that we had the energy to make the dishes that we said we were going to make. Okay. It looks like my dough is good to go, so I'm going to start scooping this onto the tray. And the way that my kitchen's set up, it's very small and I don't have a lot of counter space, so I can't like take you traveling with me. So I'm just going to pause here, and I'll be back after I've got these on the tray. Okay, so our biscuits are in the oven. I had to divide the dough, and my tray's smaller than I thought, so I have to do the biscuits in 2 batches. So the first batch is baking right now. They should be done soon. I have been chopping up onion, which I didn't film because if you can tell by my eyes, I definitely was crying. It's just really hard when you form an emotional attachment to the onion and you have to chop it up. But so my oil is hot, so I'm going to add the onion, and I'm going to add some garlic, and then once those are sauteed, then I can add the chicken broth and all my other spices. This is like the first step for the collard greens. And we like flavor in this house, so we are going to add quite a bit of garlic. I mean, there is a whole onion in there, so. I love garlic, and like growing up, our dad always cooked with a lot of garlic, so I don't think that I have to worry about it being too much garlic for my family. So I'm going to bring you over here, I hope. Not the straightest or the steadiest, but it'll do, hopefully. If you fall, apologies in advance. But I'm going to saute this onion and garlic. So holidays are always, oh, there's the timer for the biscuits. Those can probably go in for another couple of minutes. And even though it's only going to be 2 minutes longer in there, I'm setting the timer because We have ADHD, so we get time blindness. Also, if for some reason I switch, then we don't lose track of how much time has passed. Ariana is pretty close, which I'm actually surprised she hasn't switched in because she does like to cook, but sometimes switches just don't happen the way we want them to. So she's close, and she got really close to the front and then backed off again. So if there's a switch, it'll probably be with Ariana. But I'm doing the part of the cooking that Ariana likes to do, so she may not switch in. But as I was saying, Thanksgiving can be hard, especially when you have something like DID, you know. There's a certain assumption about your history that comes with that, right? And we have decided for our system that, like, we stay in contact with our family of origin. That's what we have decided works for us as a system. But, you know, that's not to say that certain things can't be triggered. Sometimes topics will come up. I know, like, sometimes our dad will get frustrated because he'll, like, recount a childhood story and we'll be like, we don't remember that. And he's like, I know, but so he gets frustrated that we don't, like, remember our childhood. Most of our family knows about our DID, but we don't really talk about it, and they all just treat everyone as shell, which we all, like, except for with a couple of our siblings, we all act like shell when we're around our family anyway. No Salem. I don't want him tipping the cutting board and getting the knife falling on him. But we tend to just all pretend to be shell for holidays, and there's certain altars that don't front around our family. And that's just the way that we handle things. I'm really glad because I didn't think I had the lid to this pot and was going to have to do some major foil coverage in order to transport it to my parents' house, but luckily I do have a lid to it, so it'll still be covered with foil, but the lid is a lot more secure. I'm going to put the biscuits that are done on a plate because I need to get the next round in the oven. Ooh, we're not going to move them yet. They're not firmed up yet. So set the plate aside. I have to use my microwave for counter space because, like I said, I have a very small kitchen. So I'm gonna let the biscuits cool a bit before I stick them on the plate. There's a butter topping that goes on top of the biscuits that is supposed to be done when the biscuits are hot, but I think I can stick them, like, after everything's cooled. I think I can stick them in the oven for a couple of minutes and then put the butter on then, because otherwise I just don't have the space that I need. And this is why we don't do, like, major cooking very often, but it is nice to have an oven. We didn't have an oven in our old apartment, and so, like, we couldn't make biscuits. So it's actually been a while since we've had these biscuits, so I'm looking forward to them. All right, sorry, I had to open the door because apparently these onions were potent enough that they started bothering my son's eyes. So open the door and hopefully that'll help bring in some fresh air and get the onion chemicals out of the air. Let's see these biscuits. I might have to peel the biscuits off. All right, I think the biscuits still need to be in for a few more minutes. They seem a little dirty on the bottom. Maybe I should have sprayed the foil before I put them on there, but I didn't think that they were going to stick, so let's do another 3 minutes on that. And then while these continue to saute, I'm going to rinse the greens, run them through water again, and soak them a little bit longer. I'm going to turn the camera off while I do that because that's probably going to be loud, so I will be back. All right, so the first round of biscuits were not great. I'm sure they'll taste fine, but the structure just isn't quite what it needed to be. I think I made them too big. But it's all about how they taste, right? Not about how they look. My onions and garlic are browned, so I am going to add my chicken broth to the pot. And when I was doing my other round of washing the greens, I decided to peel them off the stem, because with collards you don't cook the stem, you just cook the leaves. And they came off pretty easily, so these are going to be some nice and tender greens, I think. And I am going to add some water to this. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and bring this to a boil. I will add my spices and bacon to it, because normally I would make this with pork fat, but I couldn't find any. So it's going to have to be done with bacon instead. So while that is doing that, before I add the spices, I'm going to get these next round of rolls in the oven. And this time, I'm going to use the ice cream scoop and see if we get some better scoops with that. And the problem with this dough is it's very sticky, so this is going to be a fun cleanup. This time I sprayed the foil, so hopefully these won't stick. And I'm going to bring you back over here, and we're going to cut our bacon up so that we can put that in the pot. Apparently my phone was a little resistant to that, so I dropped you, so sorry about that. Bacon. So, fun story, I had bought my collard greens earlier this week because I knew I didn't want to go out on Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving to buy ingredients, because I knew it was going to be busy. Well, I did a pickup order, and I did not check my produce when I picked it up, and did not look at the greens until today. And I open up the greens and find out it is in fact kale. So whoever picked out my vegetables obviously didn't know what greens were and got me kale instead. I'm gonna need a different knife for this. So I ended up having to go out on Thanksgiving anyway to find collard greens, since Walmart gave me kale. And luckily Ralph's was open and they had plenty of greens. They were organic, so they were a little pricier than I normally pay, but at least they were there, and that's what counts, right? And I don't have to be like delicate with how I cut this, because it's just going in the pot, and it's to add flavor to the greens. Which is good, because I don't have very good knives. It's like this knife set that I bought. I think it's probably from Walmart. So the knives just aren't very good, and it's not like I don't have a true chef's knife, and it's mostly just like steak knives of different sizes. So I wish I had some meat scissors, because that would make this go a lot faster. So I only ever make greens on holidays, and I don't think I've made them for the past couple of years, because I'm pretty sure our kitchen was too small to make them. So I'm hoping they turn out okay. I used to make greens every holiday with my grandmother. So I'd say this is her recipe, but really what we would do is we would go online and find recipes, and we'd find whichever one sounded about right, and then make adjustments to the recipe as needed with the way that we cook the greens. So there's no real recipe to it. So I use like online recipes as a sort of guidance, and then just go off of what I remember we would put in the greens. And sadly, the other thing that I used to make with my grandmother was sweet potato pie, and we're not going to have any this year because I couldn't find any gluten-free pie crust. And I guess I could have checked to see today when I picked up the greens if Ralph's had any gluten-free pie crust, but I was already making the biscuits and already making the greens, and it was already 1 o'clock, and if I was going to make sweet potato pie, I really needed to start earlier. So we're just going to be without that this year, but the rest of the family will have pumpkin pie to eat. So at least there will be desserts, it's just there won't be any sweet potato pie. Now, I know holidays can be kind of tricky in this community, but if you do have, you know, some special holiday recipes that you or your family makes that you look forward to, let me know in the comments. I love to see what other people do with their family traditions. Okay, I had to pause and get my son something to drink. There has been a switch at some point during all of this. I'm not Jessica anymore. I'm not entirely sure who I am. I just know I'm not Jessica. And I know I'm not Ariana. Usually when Ariana switches in, she usually knows that it's her. But maybe as we go along, I will figure it out. And if not, you know, we just kind of go with the flow. We're trying not to be so strict on knowing who's out. Like if we're having some identity confusion, then we kind of just let it be, and we'll figure it out when we figure it out. It makes it harder to track switches, but one, we're not great at tracking switches anyway. When we do, we try to use Simply Plural, and we created some custom profiles in Simply Plural for when we are having identity confusion and we don't know who it is that's in front. And then the nice thing about Simply Plural is that you can add notes to the front log. So if we figure out who's fronting, then we can just add a note to that entry and say like, oh, it ended up being this altar that was in front. But sometimes we just don't know until another switch happens, and then that switch, that person knows who's in front. Right, so we are now going to transfer the bacon over to our broth. And then once the bacon's added, we can start to add our seasonings. Let me separate it out a little bit before I add it. Some of this is real clumpy. But like I said, I usually make this with pork fat anyway, which is not as separated as bacon is, so it's okay if there are chunks. I just don't want there to be like one huge chunk sitting in the pot. All right, So now I'm gonna bring you over so I can season. Add my seasonings here. And don't mind my flyaway hair. This is what happens when I cook because I have frizzy hair. Okay, so we're going to add some pepper. And paprika. Okay, sorry for the loud background noise, but I had to turn off the fan because my son is convinced that the circulating air is making his eyes burn more from the onions. So I had to turn the air conditioning on because I can't cook without any air or I will turn into a puddle. I'm going to cut up my greens and let this boil and dissociate. And I'm gonna cut it off here because I know the AC is loud and I don't want it to be really annoying. I will try, if I remember, to get some footage of the greens once they are done. Hey, sorry for any shakiness. I am holding you. You are not on my tripod and I tend to be very shaky. But I did promise I was going to show what the greens looked like after they were done. So here we go. It came out really well. I did a taste test. The leaves are the perfect texture. It tastes really good. I'm super excited. I think my family's really going to enjoy it. And here are the finished biscuits. They are a little crumbly, but they do taste really good. So that's all that matters. But I am so proud of these greens. I think this is the first time I've cooked them with chicken broth. I don't remember my grandma ever making it with chicken broth, but it definitely makes a difference. And I am so excited. So now I just have to figure out how to transport a piping hot pot of greens, because the one thing I didn't think about when I was doing my timing was like how I was going to have to transfer a like boiling hot pot over to my parents' house. So I think I'm probably going to put foil, I'm going to put the lid on, I'm going to put foil over the lid, and then I'm going to wrap it in a towel and then put it in a bag, and hopefully it survives the journey. But I know by the time this comes out, it won't be Thanksgiving anymore, but it is a holiday season, so I hope you are enjoying your holidays. If the holidays are hard for you, then I hope you are able to find some peace in all of the madness, and big hugs from our system to yours. And we will hopefully be putting out more videos before the holiday season is over. We're getting back into the swing of things. Like, I'm feeling pretty good today, I think because we were up and cooking and then I was doing my makeup. So I can feel the anxiety there, but I'm not letting it descend. We're going to keep it at bay. But yeah, so hopefully I'll get a few more videos out before the holiday season is over. So until next time, take care and stay well. Bye.